Hello, beautiful souls. Today's video is all about love, connection, and the little things that make relationships bloom. The young girl stood upon the bridge, gripping the icy metal bars of the fence with hands numbed by the chill. As Lucas drove by, he noticed her from outside the fence. Reacting swiftly, he rolled down his car window and called out, attempting to deter her impulsive actions. The girl remained unresponsive to his shouts. With urgency, Lucas slammed on the brakes, leaped out of his vehicle, and treaded cautiously towards her. Initiating a conversation, he introduced himself and sought to dissuade her gently from any reckless intentions. His approach was slow and deliberate, mindful of not instilling fear. Yet, the girl appeared resolute. Her gaze remained fixed downward as she cautioned Lucas against approaching, asserting that her decision was irrevocable. The wintry gusts of December pierced the air, carrying swirling snowflakes that added to the harshness of the weather upon the bridge. Observing her gloveless hands, Lucas recognized the difficulty she faced in maintaining her grip on the frosty railing. Determined to expedite matters and avert her distress, he rambled on, attempting to keep her engaged and avert any precipitous actions. Amidst his ramblings, Lucas ventured into trivial topics. "Have you ever savored the taste of ice cream?" he inquired. Her response was a hushed dismissal, her gaze unwavering. "It's inconsequential now," she uttered, fixating on the path ahead. Undeterred, Lucas persisted, "Ice cream has always been a favorite of mine. I could go for a scoop right this moment." With cautious strides, he continued his measured advance. Curiosity guided his dialogue. "How fierce is the wind out there?" Her refrain echoed once more, "It's of no significance now." "What's your age?" Lucas inched closer, his voice a mere whisper, his steps deliberate so as not to alert her to his approach. The distance between Lucas and the girl narrowed to just a few large strides, which he swiftly covered. With determination, he enveloped her in his arms and used every ounce of his strength to guide her back onto the solid surface of the bridge. As they landed together on the pavement, Lucas held her in a tight embrace. Gentle reassurances flowed from his lips, "It's all right, you're safe now." He tenderly stroked her head, attempting to soothe her quivering form. The girl trembled from the biting cold, her thin jacket providing little defense. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her attempts to speak stifled by sobs. A concerned driver hurried over, but Lucas signaled that they were fine and didn't require assistance. The passerby quickly grasped the situation, having witnessed a similar incident on this bridge before, albeit with a tragic outcome. He commended Lucas for his swift actions and returned to his vehicle. Gradually, the gathering of onlookers dispersed, leaving Lucas and the unfamiliar girl standing on the bridge. Amidst the hush, she revealed her name, Isabella. Gently, Lucas shook off the clinging snow from her attire and guided her towards his car. Opening the passenger door, he helped her into the seat, ensuring she was securely fastened, then promptly cranked up the heater to its maximum setting. "You'll start feeling warmer soon. Do you have a destination in mind?" Lucas inquired gently. "Nowhere in particular," Isabella responded calmly. With a reassuring smile, Lucas suggested, "Then let's head to my place," and they drove away together. The journey was swift, and upon arrival, Lucas parked the car and assisted Isabella out. The girl still seemed dazed by the shock, struggling to comprehend the situation unfolding around her. As Lucas swung open the door to his apartment, his wife appeared at the threshold, taken aback by the unexpected company. Sophia's curiosity led her to inquire about the unfamiliar guest. Lucas proceeded to recount the recent events, explaining how he had intervened just in time as Isabella was contemplating jumping off the bridge. Lucas requested his wife's assistance in aiding the chilled girl with a warm bath before excusing himself. Inside the bathroom, Sophia helped Isabella remove her outer layers and settle into the soothing heat of the bath. Amidst this, Sophia inquired about Isabella's age and learned she was a mere 18 years old. Sophia gently pressed for insight into the circumstances that had driven Isabella to such a desperate act. However, Lucas interjected, advising his wife to refrain from questioning until Isabella had recovered her composure. Meanwhile, Lucas occupied the kitchen, voraciously devouring a sandwich his wife had prepared. Sophia's concern was palpable, and she sought more details from Lucas about the rescue. Lucas, though, shared only the information he had, recounting how he had spotted Isabella on the brink of the bridge while departing from a client's location. Weary, Sophia sighed, her anxiety having mounted as she awaited her husband's return from work, repeatedly calling him and grappling with the uncertainty surrounding his delay. Embracing his wife, Lucas conveyed his desire to extend a helping hand to the young girl who found herself adrift with nowhere to turn. A smile exchanged between them, and Sophia departed to fetch some clothing for Isabella. Meanwhile, Lucas scoured the shelves, retrieving honey, and from the fridge, he procured milk, setting about preparing a warm remedy for the cold as per his grandmother's recipe. Simultaneously, Sophia arranged a makeshift sleeping area for Isabella in her son Mason's room, temporarily relocating Mason to her own bedroom. Entering the bathroom with clean attire, Sophia discovered Isabella resting with closed eyes. A gentle touch to Isabella's shoulder resulted in a startled jump, revealing the profound fear that gripped her. The depth of Isabella's distress was evident to Sophia. Guided by empathy, Sophia handed Isabella a cozy jogging suit, directing her to wait in the kitchen. Upon Isabella's entrance, Lucas presented a cup of steaming milk infused with honey. Though Isabella consumed it without much enthusiasm, she declined food. Subsequently, Lucas escorted her to the nursery, encouraging her not to hesitate if she required anything from him or Sophia. The following morning, Isabella was roused by a touch upon her hair. As she opened her eyes, she was met with the sight of a young boy, approximately 4 years old, seated before her, gently petting her hair. With genuine childlike curiosity, the boy embarked on an earnest interrogation, inquiring about Isabella's identity, her purpose in their home, her sleeping arrangements, and extending an invitation to play. Isabella settled onto the bed, offering a rueful smile as she explained to Mason that she was truly sorry for taking his room and that she'd be leaving soon. In response, Mason eagerly brought a large plastic toy truck to the bed, making an effort to engage her in play. Isabella did her best to join in, feigning interest. As Lucas and Sophia peeked into the room to check on Isabella's well-being, they saw her sitting on the bed, gazing at the toy truck, tears streaming down her cheeks. Upon noticing her distress, Isabella quickly apologized for any inconvenience she had caused. Sophia decided to ease the tension by leading Isabella into the kitchen for breakfast. During the meal, Lucas and Sophia attempted to steer the conversation away from the events of the previous day and the reasons behind Isabella's actions. Yet, no matter the topic, be it the weather or New Year's Eve traffic, an oppressive silence hung in the air. Isabella nibbled at her food, her mind clearly far from the present moment, her thoughts seemingly impervious to the efforts of those around her to provide a distraction from her somber contemplations. As New Year's Eve loomed, Lucas shifted his attention to his son, who was playfully handling his father's dumbbell. Sophia inquired about Lucas's plans for the evening. He replied that his colleagues had mentioned a high volume of orders due to the holiday, so he intended to work for a while. After finishing his tea, he paused for a moment, struck by a brilliant idea. With resolve, Lucas declared that Isabella would be accompanying him for the day to assist with his work. Before she could decline, he set a 5-minute deadline for her to prepare and left the kitchen. Swiftly, Isabella readied herself. They entered the car and drove away. While Lucas harbored a curiosity about what had driven her to such a desperate act, he recognized the need to give her space. If she wished to share, she would. In the meantime, he turned on the radio, aiming to infuse the drive with a lighter atmosphere. Lucas's occupation involved part-time courier work, and today's task commenced with rushing to the first delivery address after receiving the initial order. As Isabella gazed ahead, Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, but the paramount one centered on why Lucas had intervened to save her. Parking the car, Lucas briefly exited and returned about 5 minutes later, clutching a small envelope handed to him by a man sporting a stern business suit. Passing the envelope to Isabella, he playfully designated her as the parcel warden for the day. Lucas also decided to involve her in a game he often played during his deliveries around town. The essence of the game was for Lucas, upon receiving an envelope or package, to attempt to deduce the intended recipient and the relationship between the sender and receiver. Though correct guesses were not always possible, the process amused Lucas greatly. En route to their next destination, they made a stop at a shop, where Lucas acquired a Santa hat for himself and a pixie hat for Isabella, embracing the festive spirit. Isabella donned the pixie hat, her reflex to gaze into the mirror triggering her first smile of the day. Content with the positive change, Lucas beamed with joy, and together, they made their way to the first delivery point. Lucas made a playful bet with Isabella, wagering a tangerine that the envelope's intended recipient was his beloved. Curious, he asked for Isabella's opinion. Isabella's response held a tinge of sadness as she mentioned she felt she had no choice and thus guessed the wife option. With a mischievous wink, Lucas gently retorted that there was always a choice, calmly conveying this as he stepped out of the car. An elderly woman emerged from the house, clearly eager to receive the envelope. She animatedly shared that it was time for her and her husband to embark on a journey, elaborating that her son had purchased tickets for them and inadvertently left them with Lucas. Lucas handed over the envelope, extending New Year's wishes, and they returned to the car, realizing that neither of them had guessed correctly. Seizing a new order, Lucas swiftly navigated to their next destination. At the subsequent address, a gracious lady with a leg cast greeted them at the door. She explained that she had assembled gifts for her granddaughters and also for her granddaughter and son-in-law. The woman proceeded to showcase the boxes, detailing their contents. "These boxes are for the girls, this one is for my son-in-law, and this one is for my daughter," she noted, emphasizing that extra care was needed for a particular parcel containing mink mittens. She added a considerate remark, assuring them not to find it impolite as she handed over all the packages. "My daughter left me a package of clothing she no longer requires, and I believe it might suit your daughter," the lady explained. "I can assure you there are many new, high-end brand clothes inside. My daughter is quite the fashion enthusiast. I would greatly appreciate your assistance in transporting them." The woman's residence was akin to a palace, adorned with paintings, candlesticks, Italian tiles, and a beautifully adorned fireplace in the hall. Lucas entered the premises carrying a sizable bag of items. He entrusted Isabella with a bag of presents and took charge of the larger, weightier bag of clothes. After bidding their farewell, they set off to distribute the gifts. As it turned out, the recipients lived just a few streets away. The daughter and son-in-law emerged to greet them, their expressions indifferent. Lucas conveyed that they were delivering gifts from their caring grandmother and passed the toy packages to the girls who emerged from behind their parents. The twin girls, approximately 6 years old, eagerly tore into the wrapping paper. However, upon discovering that the contents were dolls they already possessed, they cast the dolls aside and dashed into the house in tears. The head of the household accepted his gift nonchalantly, placing it on the hallway dresser before leaving in silence. Upon encountering the mink gloves, the woman's reaction was one of distaste, as she rolled her eyes and expressed her irritation. Angrily, she commented that she could hardly find a purpose for such gloves. In a haste, Lucas and Isabella bid their farewell and quickly retreated to the car, vexed by the unfortunate doll selection that had once again gone awry. Isabella's demeanor bore a tinge of sadness. She comprehended the meticulous effort the elderly woman had invested in selecting thoughtful gifts to uplift her family's spirits. Yet, these carefully chosen, expensive presents had been discarded like refuse. The thought lingered in her mind. Lucas, sharing her disappointment, sought to console her. "Yes, Isabella, such things do happen, and we must carry on. At the subsequent destination, a woman handed over an immense box of cakes, her concern evident that the treats wouldn't be damaged during transport. After assuring her that everything would remain in impeccable condition, Lucas entrusted the cake to Isabella, who was seated in the car. The cake was so sizable that it obscured the girl from view. Lucas speculated that while the recipients knew the box contained a cake, the mystery remained as to whom such a colossal confection was intended for. The additional intrigue stemmed from being instructed not to disclose the sender's identity. Upon arrival, Isabella aided in carrying the cake, and Lucas pressed the doorbell to announce their presence. The air was filled with children's laughter and excited shouts as Lucas approached the door, deducing that it was likely a birthday celebration. A woman greeted them with a warm smile, and behind her, a group of 6 children spanning various ages peered out. It transpired that the occasion marked the twins' birthday, and the entire family was reveling in the festivities. Lucas presented the birthday cake, prompting puzzled looks from the woman, who presumed her husband had ordered it. She inquired about the payment, but Lucas declared it a gift, leaving her pleasantly surprised. As Lucas and Isabella prepared to take their leave, the woman asked them to wait momentarily and hurried to the kitchen. She returned with homemade gingerbread, a delectable treat crafted with evident care and adorned with flowers and decorations fashioned by the children. Lucas accepted the package of treats with care, but before they could depart, Isabella interjected, excusing herself briefly. She explained that they carried an additional bag of goodies and wished to offer it to the large, jovial family. Recognizing the potential use for items that would fit the older girls, Isabella's suggestion caught Lucas off guard, leaving him staring at her with wide eyes. After a moment of processing, he nodded in agreement. Isabella requested the keys and dashed down to retrieve the bag from the car. As Lucas engaged in conversation with the woman and her children, Isabella, slightly out of breath, managed to haul the substantial parcel into the apartment. With a heartfelt breath, Isabella extended her wishes, "Here's to a happy birthday and a happy new year." Lucas chimed in, "All the best to you, and thank you for the gingerbread," before they exited the apartment. Isabella's smile was evident, while Lucas continued to marvel at her thoughtful notion of the clothes donation. He couldn't help but express his surprise and genuine happiness for her remarkable idea. Though she could have kept the clothes for herself, she recognized the family's need and acted accordingly. Lucas saw this as an opportunity to engage Isabella in conversation and began by pointing out her minimal phone usage. Observing her change in demeanor, he noticed her smile fade as she explained that her mother was away on business and she had intentionally turned off her phone to avoid any contact. Inquiring about her mother's return, Lucas received assurance that she could visit her grandmother's village today if he was concerned, as her mother wouldn't be home anyway. Recognizing the sensitivity of the topic, Lucas proposed a diversion in the form of ice cream and a joint shopping expedition following a list provided by Sophia. They ventured to the mall, departing an hour and a half later with all the necessary supplies for the upcoming celebration. Lucas floated the idea of Isabella joining them in welcoming the new year before heading to her grandmother's. Initially skeptical, Isabella hesitated, but Lucas reassured her that no guests were anticipated, and she would likely have a more enjoyable time with them. Lucas discovered that Isabella lacked the funds for a ticket to visit her grandmother, prompting him to offer her some cash, which he framed as her day's wages. Isabella felt a touch of embarrassment, yet managed to muster a smile and nod of gratitude. In the evening, Sophia loaned Isabella one of her evening gowns, and the couple dressed up as well. The collective atmosphere within the apartments was one of unity, resembling a large, harmonious family. Mason excitedly scampered around the Christmas tree, entreating Santa to make an appearance immediately, rather than while he slumbered. Isabella's demeanor transformed, becoming more expressive and talkative as she engaged in joyful play with Mason. Unbeknownst to Sophia and Lucas, Isabella had experienced a starkly different moment while standing on that bridge, teetering on the brink of ending her life. However, These days spent with Lucas and his family had provided a fresh perspective. In this warm environment, Isabella discerned that kindness transcends mere presence, it's rooted in love, care, and mutual respect. The essence of family extended beyond parental directives, it thrived in the art of listening to one another. Just before the stroke of midnight, Isabella posed for a photograph with Lucas's family, cementing her place within the unit. At that juncture, she was a cherished part of their family, and her heart overflowed with happiness. Before her departure, Isabella presented each family member with small mementos, and in return, Lucas and Sophia gifted her a warm scarf, hat, and mittens. "May I call you?" Isabella asked timidly, expressing her desire for their continued connection. She reassured them of her intention to keep calls infrequent, not to be a bother, but to maintain a sense of their presence in her life. Such a request was met with open arms. "I would even encourage you to call us," Sophia said, gently securing Isabella's scarf around her neck before enveloping her in a warm hug. A playful caution arose from Lucas, addressing his wife, "Just promise us, no calls from the bridge." Sophia's comment garnered a reproachful look from him. However, Isabella swiftly reassured, "It's all right. Don't worry. I promise." With heartfelt gratitude, Isabella bid her farewell and stepped into a waiting taxi. A year later, Isabella shared a photograph with Lucas's family. In the image, she stood amidst snow-covered trees, wearing the cozy hat and scarf they had gifted her. Accompanying her were the girls, holding a poster that bore the words, "Thank you for the new life." Lucas and Sophia placed the photograph on their shelf alongside pictures of Mason. When asked by friends and acquaintances, they would jestingly refer to her as their other daughter. Among them, only Lucas and Sophia truly comprehended the profound message conveyed by the young, beaming girl in that photograph. So that's the end of my story. I hope it has inspired you, entertained you, or made you think. If you want to hear more stories from me, be sure to click the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video. And let me know what you think of this story in the comments section. I love reading your opinions and suggestions. Until then, stay awesome.